Namaste and good evening to one and all present here. We at H&M Food Pro Academy feel very happy to be part of this session in terms of starting the activities, and that is with the first webinar today on May 24, 2025. What a beautiful Saturday evening that we are inviting research scholars, particularly master students, younger teacher faculty members, the community, so that they come and learn from the celebrated scientist in Professor Mishra himself, who's leading this webinar for the topic in front of you, research project design, execution, and reporting. Essentially, sir would like to navigate all of us on how to write a good research paper. Yes, you heard it, because this is one thing, be it a scholar, a teacher, or master's, or even undergrad student in the final year, many still ponder how to write a research paper. So, on behalf of Academy, as the co-founder, I have a huge pleasure to welcome one and all of you. And I'm sure you all have seen this flyer, which we have just circulated. And thanks to all 150 plus members, I'm sure many will see it recorded on YouTube. But happy to have all on live. Many are on YouTube also, as I'm seeing. And right now, some of us are logged in here. It's a great pleasure to welcome all of you. And before I take you to the journey, and before I invite Mishra sir to lead the session, I would be very happy on behalf of Academy to tell you what exactly is this H&M Food Pro Academy. So the word pro in Food Pro is certainly for professionals. Yes, it's an amalgamation of all the food professionals, be it from sciences, engineering, nutrition sciences, environmental engineering related to food, design, and food engineering certainly, how exactly we all can meet together for a few important deliberations. Yes. Number one, we want really, the objective is to empower skills. Well, you must be thinking that, especially in students, if we all come and learn and earn the degree, but there is a gap sometimes, what industry requires and what we have. And that exactly H&M Food Pro Academy leads. It has started doing to empower skill. This is just one example that this webinar on the topic which I just mentioned. So empowering skills, driving innovation. Yes, you heard it. Because the assembly of scientific community in the academy is already driving innovation at their various places. So we are imbibing and inculcating all in driving innovation here also. Along with that, our objective is also to advance the research and consultancy in this area. The area is food processing. So all the areas of food, from nutrition to food security, to food technology, to food science, food engineering, encompass in us. How have we done? I'm sure you would have seen our website by now. If not, we will be sharing the website, the web page address www.hnmfoodproacademy.com, where our services are mentioned, and right now they are in front of you. Training and development, absolutely. Like today, we are starting training and skill development. There are scope for students to bank upon us for good internship at the industry front so that you really gain real world experience. Followed by the incubation center kinds entrepreneurial help in making your business with some guidance from professional experts with us. We also have research component where we really wish to contribute, scientific community come together to contribute in the research and certainly get expert help in consultancy. Not to forget the career counseling, because this is what sometime at academia always it may not happen. So we as a finishing school will like to help in career counseling. And for that, for all these or any of these, we wish you write to us, and the email ID is also given here. But right now, as you understood, it is the right time to introduce the speaker of the day, Professor Harinivas Mishra, who is right now the Emeritus Professor at the Agricultural and Food Engineering Department at IIT Kharagpur. And happy to tell all of you, perhaps you know also, Mishra sir is the founder of this academy, H&M Food Pro Academy. Yes. So I'm very happy, and the smile on my face is for obvious reason that I'm introducing a celebrated scientist in the food area. So his 40 plus, that is 4 decades of distinguished service, is really calling upon appreciation, where he has contributed in teaching, research, and academic administration. He has a wonderful research background with over 650 research papers, Close to 300 are only in international peer-reviewed journals, and the remaining in conference proceedings. With 5 books authored by himself, many book chapters, 10 lecture compendiums, and lab manuals, Sir has already published 4 technology manuals and very many popular science articles. Not to wonder, 19 patents, yes, you heard it, 19 patents, Sir has. He holds them and he has demonstrated significant innovation in the food processing technologies. So I'm sure when you Google him, you will get more. But it's always a pleasure to tell to our audience the speaker's qualities. And over 300 student research projects has been guided under him, 12 postdoctoral and 50, yes, you heard it, half a ton, 50 half centuries PhD scholars with 2 PMRF and 7 GYTI awardees are already worked with him. This is not all. This is not all young community who are assembled here. We have, I'm so happy to tell his project leadership, where many reputed journals, sir is in the member as editorial board. Lots of state of art research labs has been established, being for ready to eat and ready to cook food. You know, RTC are so important segments of our food technology, and especially on shelf life extension. Not to wonder, when all these things are done, automatically we have recognition and awards being awarded. And that's why Sir is a recipient of numerous prestigious honors like IFA's President Award, GYTI Award, NRDC Award, Best Teacher Award, and Dr. G.S. Pruthi's Award. So with over 11,000 citations with H index of 54, wow, and a whooping I-10 index of 180, Sir has represented his institution, IIT Kharagpur, and himself over 20 countries through various academic labs and conferences which continue to happen. And last not the least, for what all of us we have assembled here, Professor Mishra is the founder of H&M Food Pro Academy, launched as a premier platform for training, upskilling, providing internships, research consultancy, and certainly career counseling in the food processing. So welcome and bank upon H&M Food Pro Academy. With these words, I have a great pleasure in welcoming Professor Mishra, a highly accomplished and celebrated professor at IIT Kharagpur presently. And beyond that, sir has many more designations which you are seeing from the screen. In particularly, how exactly sir has led the Post-Harvest Technology Center, president of very pertinent body in food sector, AFSTI, and trustee of International Life Science Institute at Delhi. So, with as I said, sir represents the Food Pro Academy and IIT Kharagpur, I must tell you that this topic, which has been curated for all of you who are live right now, many are on YouTube, and some of us here on Zoom. The topic is very useful. So, do grab your paper, pen, and do not hesitate to write your comments, write your questions. That will, I must say, with this, please participate in terms of your learning. So, do have a paper and pen. Certainly, my tool instruments are also ready. And as and when you feel, put your questions on the chat. We are here live to answer them. And our YouTube community, some of you may watch this session after it. You're also most welcome to put your questions on the comment box. So we'll try to help there. With these words, sir, the forum is yours. Kindly, please take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Khandelwal, for nicely introducing the academy as well as the speaker. Okay, I welcome all the participants on this nice Saturday evening on this webinar. That is the first webinar, which are in fact, let me say that Dr. Khandelwal has already. This is the starting. We are online starting our activity of the Food Pro Academy. So this is the first activity, a startup training or skill development, and we have chosen a very wide topic which may be of interest to the youngsters, even some senior persons also, they may find it useful. So without wasting much time, let me directly go to the topic. Please allow me to share my screen. Okay. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible. Very well.
All right, it is
Yes,
visible.
sir.
Okay. So as has been told to you all that the topic of my presentation today is research project design, execution and reporting. In the next about 40-45 minutes, I will give you an overview, that is how you should plan, how should you think about a good research project, a good research proposal, and then how it should be executed, how it is the research project which you have planned is implemented, and then finally very important aspect is the reporting in various form. And one of the very important way of reporting your research is uh, in the form of a publication. Then obviously I will throw some light on how to write a good research paper, and apart from that I will also discuss something about which is very important in this aspect, like research ethics and other related issues. So let's see, what is research. Research is a process to discover new knowledge, a disciplined inquiry or scientific investigation to extend knowledge. In a scientific context, usually research refers to the entire scientific method from start to finish. So, research is the pursuit of truth with the help of study, observations, comparison, and experiment. Okay. Research may be qualitative, it may be quantitative, or it may be a mixed research. Qualitative research deals with the people's experiences and opinions, and here results are reported using case studies and quotations, etc. In the quantitative research, one deals with the changes in the quantities and physical effects. Even many a times these quantitative research are complemented with the experimental data, etc. Results are reported using numbers and statistics. In the mixed research, one makes use of both qualitative and quantitative approach. And so obviously, that is what is the need, what is your topic. Accordingly, one should go for that and decide that is whether one is going for qualitative research or quantitative research or mixed, and then accordingly one should choose its parameters and other things. Okay. Further, again, research may be a descriptive research, applied research, and conceptual research. Descriptive research means description of the state of affairs as it as it exists at present. In this case, researcher reports only what has happened or what is happening. Whereas in the applied research, one aims at finding solutions for immediate problem. Suppose you find that there is a problem in the society, or some industry is facing a problem. We are here in the food industry, so food processing. So suppose a food industry or food business organization or also any other organization is having some problem, so they are not knowing. So it becomes, they come to researchers, and you as a research scientist, as research engineers, conduct experiment and tell that solution. So that is the applied research, how your research to apply in the social or in the field, etc. Then conceptual research is related to the some abstract idea or theory. It is normally done by the philosophers and thinkers to develop new concept or reinterpret existing ones. So again, depending upon your intention, that is what is the problem, you can go for whether you can decide whether your research you are going for a descriptive one or it is applied research, and it becomes very important. That is why I am telling that is on the basis of this you have to again further the design aspects you have to choose accordingly. That is what are the parameters you are going to study, how you are going to study, all these things you have to, once are clear that is what is your type of research, how you are going to do. Then comes the research methodology. Research methodology obviously is the path through which researchers formulate their problem and objectives and present their results. Okay, so obviously here you have to think it deals with that there should be philosophy of the research and research design. What are the labels and units of analysis? What are the different research methods? How you are going to collect the data? What are the experimental design one is following? And once the data is collected, how this data is being analyzed? And then finally the validation of the many times we do that modeling, and then once the data, on the basis of the data we develop a model, and then the model is validated by conducting the experiment, and then consistency and ethics. So all these aspects in covers include in the research methodology. And any research, success of any research is important, that how precisely how it has been implemented, how it has been conducted, how precisely and meticulously it has been conducted at that way. If you do all the plan, all the experiment properly, use the statistical data, etc., statistical design, proper design, and then you get the data, analyze the data, definitely you will get the result. There is no doubt about it. But it depends that how meticulously you have planned the experiment, how you have think about it, and how you have conducted the experiment. So research methodology becomes very important. Then comes the research design. The design obviously refers to the plan, structure, and strategy of research. Basically, it is the, as I told you, it is the blueprint to guide the research process. Okay. So now I come to the research project. This is about, after a brief introduction about the research, what are the different types of research. Then let us discuss about the research project. Yes, obviously many a times, as you can see here in this figure, that is the this cat is looking at the inside the water. You find some fish there. Okay, so she is curious about. So similarly, here in daily life, our daily life, we may find, and scientists, we will see the things, and we get curious, that is, yes, what is happening and how. So the curiosity leads to research question. And these research questions, obviously, when you have a question, then as a scientist, as a thinker, as a researcher, you think that, yes, how to get this answer up to this question. So that leads to a research project. So research project is a discrete scientific endeavor to answer a research question or a set of research questions. And this, it should be, there should be a description of the defined protocol. It should clearly articulate goals, should have proper review of literature. It should be based on whatever proposal you are making project. So one must go and conduct proper review and find out what are the gaps, etc. And then on the basis of that, set your objective, and then proposal must have also the defined methods and outputs, and very importantly, defined timelines. That is yes, that is very important, that how much time you are going to devote on this particular. Otherwise, it may so happen that you are going and conducting experiments, and time has gone and the problem has become obsolete. So that is, one has to, depending upon the type of the question and how long you are. So all these aspects must be meticulously planned and included in a research project. Okay. So then one very important thing is that in the research, there is a novelty. Novelty in research. As what is novelty? It can be something that ranges from the demonstration of a well-established phenomena in a new system to testing a hypothesis with no precedent in the literature. So that is exactly anything new, that is, you do not find anything in the literature about that, and but you find that, yes, it is useful, it is useful question, and that becomes a novelty. Novelty may also be addressing a gap in the research field, or disproving something what is already known. Some researchers, they have established something, and you come with the new fact, and to say that no, whatever earlier it was established by X researcher, there are some it is not correct, and this whatever you say, that is correct. And the same, so that is also, you can say, is claim as a novelty. Okay, so that is, and very important again, novelty in the research is very important. One should ponder about it. Then how to check novelty? Obviously, comparing the research work with other works in the field to ensure its originality, to ensure the relevance of the topic to current situation. All right, that is whatever, that is a novelty, that is whatever research proposal you are going to do, that should be state of art and to the current day need. Okay, it should not be obsolete topic or obsolete thing. And then similar topic can be covered as long as a different approach is used. For example, here in this case, that is a, suppose one is making a end product is to make a snack food. That may depend. The snack food is a big area. So here one can take that is just, it may be a cereal based snack food, it may be pulse based snack food, it may be made through extrusion technology, it may be. So as long as you are having a different approach and a different methodology, etc., and there are some differences in the characteristics of the product, you can even similar topics or similar products, etc., can be covered under the novelty. Okay. So novelty check, it's very important. It should be done by conducting exhaustive literature review. So that whenever you are going to plan a research project or research proposal, either as a student, PhD student, or as a scientist and researchers, you must do that. I must check that, yes, prehend that whatever topic you have thought, what is the question you have planned to ask solution for. So you just conduct thorough literature review and see that in that particular area, what are the state of the knowledge, state of the art knowledge available already, what is the gap is there, and then in that gap we identify the gap and then conduct your research in that area. Okay. So after you have done that, the next step is how to write a research proposal. Okay, many a times as a scientist, as a professor, so you need to submit a research proposal to funding agencies or someone that you can. So in that case, your research plan, you have the idea, you have to work it out, you have to write down this idea in the form of a sheet. Sometimes some funding agencies, they have their own formats, they recommend the format, so you have to use that format. Or if there is no such clear-cut guideline, then you can use your own format. But the important thing is that the research proposal, it must clearly intend, it must say that is a research proposal should be intended to convince other that you have a worthwhile research project. That is the right written document proposal which you are making. That document, whoever reads it, the person should get convinced that yes, now this fellow has some idea. Also, the other point, your project proposal should say that you have necessary competence to do it, as well as you have a proper work plan. So these three things are very, very important in writing your research proposal. Okay, that is your write-up, your proposal should be able to convince others that your research is a very good, worthwhile research, and you have a proper work plan. And then now, when you are writing the proposal and submitting to, obviously the proposal will be read by someone, it will be evaluated, maybe the reviewers of the funding agencies who are appointed by funding agencies, or any person. So obviously that the proposal should have sufficient information to convince the reader that you have an important research ideas and you have a good grasp of the relevant literature and the major issues, and also your methodology is sound. It is not that you write blah blah anything and you submit, the people will, because nowadays there are various means which funding agencies or other research executing agencies, planning agencies, they evaluate and your project. So, and regardless of your research area and the methodology you choose, all research proposals must address three important questions. Number one, that is, what do you plan to accomplish? Why do you plan to do it? And how you are going to do it? What, why, and how? And this must be clearly indicated in your proposal, and that can be considered as a. And this also I am telling with my experiences. I have been in the research review committee and in the task force of most of the departments and government ministries, etc., in the India and even in some international agencies. So the reviewers, they look at this thing. It should be as crisp as possible and to the point and focused everything. Okay. So the features of a strong proposal obviously include that is a well-organized proposal sections. Sometimes that is, as I told you, funding agencies, they give their own. Even sometimes they call proposals on a specific topics, etc. They give their own formats, guidelines, etc. So the proposal has to be made according to that. So it should have well-organized sections, well researched and documented statement of the problem. That is very, that is what is your SOP, statement of purpose, statement of problem, what you answer, reply to which answer you are going to find through your this proposal. And then it should have innovative strategies for addressing the need or the problem. Then feasible goals, very important. That is, you whatever objectives or goals you have set, it should be feasible. It is not that you just think of anything and practically it cannot be done. So that cannot be considered a good proposal rather. Okay, so it should have a feasible goals, measurable objectives, and obviously a sound evaluation plan. So all these things are an important is the features of strong proposals. So after discussing this proposal, let us now talk about briefly on research reporting. That is, the research reporting may be four types, like it may be a report as you normally we submit, that is whenever we get a research project sponsored by any agency, etc., whether it's a government organization or industry or anywhere. So it may be 2 years proposal, 3 years proposal. So after end of the project tenure, you write the report and submit to the funding agency with your clear-cut recommendations, etc. Okay, or it may be that research may be reported in the form of a research monograph, or in the form of a research publication, or in the presentation form. So presentation, publication, monograph, and report writing submission. These are the different way of writing the reporting research. So obviously, as I told you, research report is a written document, okay, or it may be oral presentation. Okay, so and the purpose here is to communicate the purpose, scope, and objectives, even hypothesis, methodology, finding. If there are during the methodology, sometime it may so happen that you, while planning your hypothesis, while designing, you have thought something, but when you are conducting the experiment, there might be some variations, etc. So that also you should clearly indicate that yes, these were the limitations and these were the variations, and finally these have been obtained. And then in the last, it must have a proper recommendations, that summary, conclusion, and final recommendation. That is what, and these recommendations obviously should match with that, whatever the initial earlier in your hypothesis, whatever the questions that you had considered, and then whether this recommendation should be the answer to those questions. And that is what the industry or your sponsors is going to find out from this. And then obviously that how it is applied and how it is useful, that may also be elaborated briefly. So this is the, in fact, you can say the research report, writing a report and submitting the report, it may be considered at the last step of the research process on that particular topic. Okay, so report, again, it should be brief and compact. It should be in simple and clear language. Okay, it should present adequate information, and it should be clearly able to communicate the skills and knowledge that has been developed in your project. Okay. Then regarding that, whatever when you are going to writing the report, there are different steps to write a good report. Like you should first analyze it. There is a logical and chronological analysis of the subject matter that you have already worked. Then you have to prepare an outline for the framework upon which long written work finally the report is to be. Then you prepare a rough draft. Okay, and in the rough drafts normally concentrates on what to say, how to say, and then you can polish the draft by careful revision of the final rough draft to ensure that the clear, logical, concise is transmit of information, etc. And then this after the draft has been polished, you finally add references, etc., wherever it is necessary, and then go for the final draft. The final draft is done in a concise and objective style using simple language. That is very, very important, that your project or whatever your project proposal is there or your project report is there, it should be simple language, meticulous, to the point and precise. Okay, so the structure of a report, if you can look, there are two things. One is the preliminary materials like title of the report, table of contents, abstract or synopsis, etc. That is, this should be written briefly in the report, and it includes, that is, the title page, its title, researcher's names, the tutor's name, department, organization, its logo, etc., and the content list, the section and subsections of the report. Then abstracts is basically the summary of major points and conclusion and general overview. Okay, and also it may include some acknowledgement and declaration, etc. So that becomes the preliminary material which every report must include. And then comes the body of the report. Actual body of the report, it covers introduction, that is which consists of a background of a study, statement of problem, research questions, objective of the study and limitations of research, etc. That is the which you have thought that is it should coincide obviously with your initial plan when you have submitted the proposal, or if there is any deviation, that also should be clearly indicated. Literature review describes the current state of research, identifies gaps and explain how it addresses the gap. And then you come the body of the report like methodology. Methodology section should describe about the methods and tools, as I told you earlier also, that is how these experiments were conducted, how the experiments were planned, what was the statistical design used, how the data was collected, how the data was analyzed. Okay, all these things, and they should all be properly presented in good uh, tables and figures as far as applicable. Wherever necessary, one should give supporting data, table, figures, and even clear pictures, etc. So photographs of the experiment, so that yes, you have really conducted the experiment and all those things. Then discussion about the interpretation of the result. That is the you are getting result, table, figures, and then one should discuss. That is, yes, when you are getting this trend, whatever from the data, whatever trend you are getting, whether that is matching with the hypothesis that you have thought. Because in fact, in a good research, the target, what already you have fixed, that what target, what you aim to achieve. So this result, and accordingly you have planned your experiment. So by this data that confirms to that what you thought, or is there any deviation, etc., you have not got, sometime the results indicate that yes, whatever you have thought, you are getting result in that direction. And then you also compare it with the in the literature review, etc. And sometimes you may not get, you may altogether get some results which you might not have thought. So in that case, you need to analyze that what is other, there might be, if the experiment was wrongly conducted, or you find that yes, your experiment is also properly conducted, but still you have got, and that is not wrong. That is yes, something which you could not have anticipated or thought of, but your data indicates that. In that case, that is the discussion important point. Then you have to find out why it is happening, what is the reason, and you have to give supportive information and your supporting logic or reasoning for that. So that is the importance of the justification, that it should justify, discussion should justify the approach and critically evaluate the study and whatever the result has been obtained and its presentation. And then finally conclusions, it concludes the main points emerge and its application in the field, and then recommendations comes, and then references and bibliography. Okay, and sometimes what happened that the sources are edited in the reference sections, and the materials and that are supplementary to main argument are included in the appendixes, because sometimes raw data, etc., lot huge of data, other things which have used, and if you find that these are the supplementary material but not in it, so those can be given in the appendices, etc. So this becomes the body of a research project. Okay, now that is the research report. So what is next is the research monograph, as I told you. So monograph is derived from a Greek word meaning writing on a single subject. So that is the difference between the report and a monograph. Okay, so the report monograph means it is a, you can say, a special type of book written on a single specialized topic, devoted mainly for research work that are too long, too specialized, or otherwise unsuitable for publication in one of the standard journals. You find that it is very long, and many journals may not the public for publication. It should be very precise and a few pages only. So if it is a long, you can publish it in the form of monograph. So that is the, you can say that now ask what is the difference between a book and a monograph. So book may be on a bigger topic, and monograph may be a small topic, and it should be that the books can be many authors, many editors, etc. But normally monograph, it is generally it is considered single author or maybe at the most one or two authors, but it is the based on their own authors, own research work, and it's to publish. So again, if you can differentiate between for a student a PhD thesis, it is also similarly on so thesis and monograph. The thesis means that is the document, your research report which you are submitting to any institution for award of any degree, etc., master's degree, doctoral degree, and all those things. So these are, so that is how you can go for reporting the publishing the research in the form of a monograph as well. Okay, so the monograph, obviously, like other reports, here also it consists of 8 sections, like title, okay, that is which should give the attention, and the title should be very precise and concise.
Okay.
In fact, it should completely give the overall view. That is by even not only in the research report, proposal, monograph, or even research paper, etc. The title should be framed in such a way that by reading the title, the person gets the clear idea that is what this material is contain, what this report is having in it. So the abstract, introduction, that is statement of the purpose, methodology, how it was done, literature review, it should include finding a gap, then results, findings, discussion, and finally conclusion, that is the thesis statement. So these are all included in the monograph. Then research presentation, obviously, that is the presentation may be done in the form of research posters or in the form of PowerPoint presentations. Okay, and both allow the researchers to make a visual and oral presentation of their research work. Okay, and here again, in a research presentation, when you are using a multimedia presentation, it is very important that there are again 4 concepts one should be very clear. That is the coherence, signaling, redundancy, and continuity. Whether you are having a PowerPoint presentation or even a poster presentation, is basically idea that is in a brief form, it's coherent. That is, there should not be excessive information, only whatever information is needed that is presented, and that is the direction of audience attention. That is very important. That is your, when your PowerPoint PPT comes, that the whatever reader, it should PPT should invite the reader's attention. Okay, and also it should that immediately. So your presentation points should be in the maybe pictorial presentation. Nowadays animations are etc. there. So that's should signal, and that in similar information should not be given in the multiple format etc. That is, it should be a proper format, so it should be used and it should be properly presented. And very important is the continuity, that is, the relevant ideas should be explained sequentially. That whatever is your project proposal, that is, suppose whatever you have got a 200-page thesis report, and that you have to present, you can also present in the PowerPoint presentation in 10-15 minutes. So that is how you planned, how you executed. So there should be a proper. So the best presentation, let me tell you, is often the one which have fewest or least written words. Nowadays, as far as possible, you go for the pictorial presentation, animation, and all those things. Written words should be minimum. That is considered a best presentation. Then posters. Now also many conferences, most of the good international conferences, etc. They have poster presentation, printed posters, or even posters in the form of PowerPoint presentation. Again, so here the same. The Aristotle theoretical triangle, you can see it forms an ideal underlying framework for poster design and delivery. And there are three important things here: logics, that is logos, logic, pathos, that is empathy, and ethos, credibility. That is in the logos. The logic means that audience must be able to understand the logic of the argument and evidence that you are presenting in your poster, again in a very brief and precise manner. And then audience must be emotionally engaged with the subject matter, that is, you are displaying your poster, the audience is going, so your presentation should be in such a manner that one looks at it, he get tempted to read that, he or she get tempted to read that. Then also the other thing, that when you are there as a presenter, when you present your work, so you must establish the credibility and authority. The presenter must establish credibility and authority personally and for the work. That is so. Logos, pathos, and ethos. These are three things are the pillars of a good presentation, whether in the form of posters or in the form of a PowerPoint presentation. Now we come to the research publications. Then first question comes, why to publish? That is paper publication we are talking about. And when Henry Oldenburg of the British Royal Society published the first article in 1665, the aim of the new publication was to make a public record of original contributions to knowledge and to encourage direct communication between scientists. So you can see that now I think you must have got an idea by this, that is why to publish. Okay. Obviously, the publication, sometimes we say that if a research is of no use if it has not been published. If it has not been, means by publishing your paper or by publishing the paper, you are bringing out the research in a public domain in a very brief and concise manner, so that the scientific community or whoever reads that get the advantage of that, and then they can use your research to their advantage and all those things. Of course, you can you protect your IPR and all those things. Okay, so the research publication provides you financial benefits, like it establishes your credibility in your field. You can get promotions, and many times now when you go for having interviews, giving interviews, etc., for a job, people start, they ask that the interview panel experts ask that how many papers you have published, even in which journal, whether journal was good or all those things. Then even the funding also, if you have a good publications and on a new, you are writing a new project in that area you have worked and you have some published, means you have a proof of concept and you have published something, so it will also help the establishes your the confidence of the funding agencies in you, and you get more and more funding, and also you get increased financial collaborations. So in this way, the publication gives the author or reader author in a financial benefit, and the non-financial benefit we talk about, obviously the intellectual credit. you get recognition or prestige in the field, that yes, your paper are well read, well, but those people think that yes, now you are, it establishes you in your field. That is the way the research. So obviously, that is why to publish, then comes what to publish, and here you see the Bloom's taxonomy, that is the create, evaluate, analyze, apply, understand, and remember. That is very important for before going for a publication. Like create, produce new or original work, then justify a stanza decision by proper evaluation, etc. Then in the analysis, that draw connection among ideas, use information in new situation, explain the ideas or concepts, and then it should recall facts and basic concepts, etc. So that is, and all these things after you properly think, and then you go further, decide that yes, we are. So now we are going to publish this article, and in this manner, this is the things. Once you have done that, the next comes that the is how to write. Once you have decided that, then how to write a good proposal, good papers. So obviously, the first thing, like in the research report I told, here also, in fact, that is more important here. Sometimes people write the title of a paper of 3-4 lines, big sentences, and having so many commas, so many full stop, even. So all those things, as far as possible, that is, title of a paper should be brief, precise, it should convey main topic, it should highlight the importance, it should attract the readers, and it should be very brief, concise. That, as I told you earlier, that by looking at the research topic, the reader should get, a reviewer must get an idea that what does this paper consist. So that should be the right. And as far if it is possible, if there is no comma, no full stop, no, that is considered a best topic. That is without any comma and all the colon, icon. So that is so, and it should be brief and precise. Then after once you have decided, in fact, you can say that if you have selected, you have decided a good topic, that is a very big things has been already done. Then comes that the research paper, the structure, general structure, and again in this case also the title, abstract, and keywords. These are the informative, effective, and easy to search. That is and this is considered as the head of the paper. That is head, body, and tail. So in the head, title, abstract, and the 3, 4, 5 major keywords you need, so that and the indexing, etc. By using those keywords, anyone can find out your. Then, so that is then body comes. Then body, IMRAD, it should be concise and to the point. I will give you about details of this IMRAD in the next. Then the tail of the paper includes acknowledgement, references, and supplementary data, whatever has been used in that research or writing that paper that you want to propose. So all these things are considered to be a aspects of a good research paper. So now the abstract, first thing, very important, most attractive after the topic, the abstract becomes the most attractive, because many of them reviewers, they get the idea about that, whether you are going that is by reading the abstract. Most of the reviewer, many times I am also telling from my own, that is just they read the abstract first, and then you go the read and summary and conclusion. And then if the interest is there created, then we go and read finally. Otherwise, many a times, most of the reviewers, they after reading the abstract, your paper is accepted or rejected or whatever is good. And if the abstract is attractive, then readers, they will go and read your further and find out whatever the problems are. Otherwise, so abstract is the summary of the content of the journal manuscript. It is a time saving, as you can say, shortcut for the entire paper. It guides to most part of the manuscript written content, and should be able to stand alone. As I told you, that is in 300, 400 words as per the guideline of the paper. It should be able to give the complete overview. And nowadays, it is considered that the graphical abstract is again more simplified, that instead of writing summary or maybe 300, 400 papers, many journals, most of the good journals, important journals, they prefer that graphical abstract you in the form of a pictorial, like for example, you are having a process technology where different unit operations and machines, then you give the pictures of those machines or give the pictures of unit operations, etc. And the raw material, instead of like suppose you have a grain, you have a fruit or vegetable, so instead of writing the name of that fruit or vegetable or grain, just you put the picture of that fruit, vegetable, so people understand, and it also add value and it becomes attractive. Keywords are a tool to help indexers and search engines and relevant papers. It must represent the content of the manuscript, 4 or 5 keywords, whatever, and it should be specific to the field or subfield which you are reporting. Then that emerald structure title, that is body of the paper. Okay, whole thing, that is introduction, material, method, result, and discussion and conclusion. So these are the emerald. That is the body of the paper. Okay, and already we discussed that. Yes, all this again, it should be very brief and precise. And see, no publisher, they would like to publish blah 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 whatever you write and about 40, 50, 60 pages, etc. No, it should be around 8 to 10 pages, whatever, and it depends on your communication writing skills. Again, that introduction must be able to, through introduction, you must be able to justify that why you have done what we discussed earlier, why you have done this work, how you have done this work briefly, and what are the results, etc. What you have got in this paper, what you are going to report. That comes in the, and justification. But means that is introduction must justify, and then the material, methods, and results, and like what we discussed in the report writing, same thing. But in the report writing, it is a bigger, reports are normally bigger than these papers, so it should be concise. Like thesis may be 150 200 pages, but in that thesis 150 200 pages, you can the papers, that same thesis, if it is coming on 3 4 objectives, and each objective one paper you can publish maybe into 8 to 10 printed pages in the journals. That may be a standard. uh, I'm not talking about review papers. If review paper, it may be more. So, but the important thing is that it should be brief, precise, meticulous, and to the point, and it must be able to communicate. Again, the reviewers, by reading your paper, must be convinced that yes, whatever you are reporting, whatever the methods you have followed, all these are good, and you have got some results. And then finally, acknowledgement, of course, of all the peoples who provided intellectual technical assistance or special equipment or materials that helped you to do the research, and but they do not qualify for authorship. They should be written, their name should be written in the acknowledgement. They should be properly acknowledged. Sometimes even funding agencies are also acknowledged. Okay, then this research publication, particularly reference writing, how you are going, that is the citation in the text, that is very important. Okay, and many of the journals, most of the journals, they have their proper reference here. At this point, let me say that most of the researchers, even either in the thesis or in the research paper, etc., lot of problems and lot of mistakes they carry out. So that is very important. That is how you are writing the reference. You follow the standard reference styles, and also how the reference is cited in the text. That is in the text citation, because it is necessary when directly quote, paraphrases, or summarize the essential elements of somewhere else's idea. If you are taking that is somewhere else's statement, somewhere already pre or the existing data idea, etc. So that has to be properly cited. And yes, the other person, the researcher, earlier researcher, has to be given clear cut. That is mentioned. It should mention. Otherwise, it can be considered as plagiarism and all those things. Okay. Also, that every citation should have a corresponding entry in the reference list. That is very important. Sometimes, again, here we generally find mismatch. That is, the reference is cited in the text, but it is not appearing in the reference chapter, or in the appearing in the reference chapter, but it is not cited in the text. So where that is, so every reference must be properly cited. And similarly, in the result and discussion, again we find many a times that the tables and figures, they write the titles of the table and figure, but they are not referred in that. So that is again very important, that every table, every figure, every legend, it should be properly acknowledged or reported or written or cited in the running text. So in the reference list of the resources that are used during trying the manuscript research. Resource may be a book, journal, conference, speeches, etc. The proper reference should be written in the proper format, and the list is arranged in either alphabetical order, usually by author or editor, or there are certain sometimes year-wise. Sometimes. So there are various indexing and referencing styles. So one should follow that whatever is there. Okay. So here, when we are talking about reference, and particularly in the, if you are writing thesis, in some thesis, some people give the bibliography, and sometimes it is written reference. So what is the main difference between the reference and bibliography? Means that the reference means it will include only those papers materials which has been cited in the running body of that particular paper or report. And bibliography, it may include any additional, a few additional that might not have been cited in the text, but it is of relevance to that particular topic. It is in a similar area, so that can be included. So then it becomes reference. Okay. And there are different referencing style like Harvard author date style, APA style, Chicago style, Oxford styles, etc. Like in the Harvard or author date, it is the author date style in the text citation in bracket, in the body of the text, or in the footnotes, but in the reference, author surname and date of the publication, page number, etc. This is given. So in fact, APA style is the variation of Harvard style. Here brief author date, citation in brackets in the body of the text, and full citation in the reference list. So there are similarly Chicago or Oxford styles are there, and most of the journals, good journals, they have their own format and they recommend the research that. So you should go to that, you should follow that guidelines. Okay. Then for that is what are the skills required for a research paper, writing for a research paper. Obviously, three skills, obviously, that is writing skills, research skills, and English skills. As far as the writing skill is concerned, that is choosing the content, showing the significance of the problem, drawing valid interfaces, and stating conclusions very clearly. There should be clarity in your writing. The reader must be able to understand. It should be easy to understand. Simple sentences. Do not use many very complex sentences, etc. And there should be cohesion, sticking to the thesis statement. That is what is the purpose of on what you are writing. So that should be your cohesion in the writing is very important. Then order and organization, clearly defined categories and logical sequencing. They should have proper flow. That is, second paragraph you are writing, it should be in continuous. There should be proper flow with the first paragraph, and stage by stage, then flow and transition. And the creativity and originality should be indicated from the publication, that is having critical insight about the topic. And then very, very important again, formatting and paraphrasing. And many scientists, excuse me, many researchers, etc., where when they write, again, there are a lot of, we get papers to review, we see there are many times lot of formatting mistakes, paraphrasing, etc. Like, because these are the typing, etc. So one should nowadays, there are various that is online software, etc., which help even formatting, grammars, and all those things. So that is one should write in the writing skill. The research skill, obviously, we discussed earlier also. It should be ability to search, investigate, and evaluate content, ability to extract and critically analyze the data, and use and present information relevant to the topic. So that comes in the research skill. And finally, the English skill again. And here, let me tell you, most of the youngsters have in new community, many times. Of course, there are person also who has good command, because we scientists many a times do not have that command or English, etc. But now there are various softwares, etc. Even tutors available online, so one could get to. But that is very important. Many a times we ignore this, but this is very important. That is most of the things. Even sometimes when reviewer reads a paper, even I as a reviewer, when it comes, if I find that some sentences is written not good, so we just get bored of it and we do not continue. And many times we were just reject that. Okay, no, it is not properly written grammar. Because if the grammar is not correct, your science which you are trying to communicate, it doesn't comes up properly. So that becomes English skill. That is grammar, usage of proper tense, auxiliary verbs, avoiding run-off sentences and sentence fragments, proper use of passive and active voice, etc. Choice of the words, very important, is usage of precise and compact word. Then spell check, capitalization, punctuation, use, all these things should be very, because if it is done, in fact, a good paper, it must, and which has minimum grammar text, and then once it is there, then the reviewers finally they concentrate on your skill. If you have written a paper very nicely with no grammatical mistake, etc., chances of acceptance of paper much higher. Okay. Then next step is how to go for publication. Once you have written, then you go. So first thing is that in the step one, find a suitable journal. And for finding a journal, that is you have to compare that is subject matter versus journal scope. You can take mentor or experts advice, or readership and target audience of a particular journal, visibility of a journal. So in your field, irrespective field, like in food processing, we are having, there are different journals: International Journal Food Science, National Journal Food Science and Technology, Food Processing, Journal Food Science and Technology, Cereal Chemistry. There are food and agriculture when published by many agencies. So you find out the visibility of the journal, and very important from your point of view, journal turned around time. That is how much time it takes, and in journal it should be around 1 to 3 months. Otherwise, many times if journal takes 1 year, 2 year again for publishing your paper, so that is not very. It may be a very good impact journal, but its relevance of the in this era where the everyday new information is coming up, if a journal takes 3 years, 4 years to publish your result, so it's loses the result topics, and using the journal finding tools like Journal Finder, Journal Suggester, Relay, etc., you can go and find out the things. Okay. Then quality indicator, of course, for finding a suitable journal, you can go for a quality integrator, journal impact factor, Scopus journal index, SNIP, that is source normalized impact per factor, SCI Indigo Journal. So these are all these data you can find out in the reference. You can then H index, there is the Harris index, I-10 index, etc. All this you can find out. So decide the journal on the basis of this. Also, that is what is the quality of the journal. You get obviously go to best impact factor journal. Okay, and for authors it should be H index and I-10 index. And then next, you go to follow instructors to author. Most of the research paper journals, they have their own guidelines, as I told you, and that must be followed. That is regarding what is the length of article and abstract, availability of article templates, sections of the articles, writing style, number of tables and figures, and then reference formats, etc. That should be properly presented. Then you submit this paper. Many times now almost all standard journals they publish online. The submission, online submission is there. So submit the paper, it will go for peer review. Decision may be either rejection or acceptance or revision. The revision, if they are giving, they will tell you that what is need to be. There is a reviewer's comment you will get. You attest the comment and revise. And if it has been rejected, then means that it, that time also they give some time. If it has been rejected on the basis of the scientific merit, they will tell you what. Then you have to go to back to again research stage and find out things. So that is. So that was about research publication. Now I think already, and I will briefly, that is very important. Research ethics. Research ethics govern the standards and conduct of scientific researchers. That is the new knowledge, human right, data collection, and protecting. That there should be proper balance between new knowledge and data collection, and human right and protecting dignity and privacy. That is very important. And here again, let me say you nowadays, that is the one thing which this is very, very important for any researcher, whether it is a new the students, scientists, professors, or anyone, that the ethics must have. That the research misconduct means that the research misconduct is defined as the fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism in proposing, performing, or reviewing research, or in the reporting research. The scientific misconduct, that is, it is the violation of a standard code of scholarly conduct and ethical behavior of scientific research. It is the violation of code regarding manuscript writing, authorship, and publication can be called as a publication misconduct. So that is very important. One should follow that. Then there are also fabrication or falsification. That is, fabrication means violating integrity of data by inventing new data to support the hypothesis, or falsification, violating integrity of data by alteration of the observed result to support the hypothesis, manipulation of the research methods, equipment, process, removing the results that doesn't fit to the hypothesis. Suppose you have conducted in a particular thing 10 experiment, and you find that in the out of 10 experiments, at least 4 experiments are not so you remove that. That is not a good. That may consider as a falsification. Okay. Then again, plagiarism, that is theft of intellectual property. And these are the points where now we are in the online era where everything is online, softwares are there, it is checked. So that is the you should not present others' ideas, words, design, and with the implication that they are their own work without credit. If you are using anybody, you can use anybody's idea anyway, but you must give the you must give cite it, you must give credit to the author. You should not present other people's work in your name. Then misuse of privileged information many a time. That is here very important again for that senior persons, professors and others, like using information from a grant proposal or manuscript received for peer review. Suppose I am getting some grant proposal and that has been submitted to me for review, and I find that there is something good, so I use that. Though that becomes a misuse of the privileged information. Similarly, for manuscripts also. So, guidelines for ethical practices in research states that recognition of author is required when there is word-for-word copying beyond a short phrase or 6 or 7 words of someone else's text. So that must be cited, must be referred properly. Then authorship ethics, again, it is very important. That is the corresponding author, co-author, and acknowledgement. So corresponding authors, it's the contact person for publisher and readers. It ensures the guidelines are met. This often generally it becomes senior author, but senior author means not by the virtue of seniority or the position, etc. It must be, in my opinion, as I follow it, that is, it must be that the person who has actually executed the research and who has devoted maximum time in that particular paper, and so that person, in fact, that's why I give that corresponding authorship to my students, because I feel, I consider that they are the one who have devoted maximum time in that. Then co-author, that is all the persons who have made significant contribution to the research and the manuscript, they should be given co-authorships. And acknowledgement, I told that there may be some persons who participated in some essential aspect of research, but their contribution was not sufficient for giving co-authorship, so they can be acknowledged. Okay. Then authorship policies vary with the publisher. You must see that what our most common policies are. Each author should have made a substantial contribution to the work, conception or design of the work, its acquisition, analysis, or interpretation of data. And nowadays, in good international journals, etc., when you write, you have to give that for each author what was the contribution of that particular author in that paper. It has to be declared, and each author has to confirm that. All authors should have approved the manuscript for submission, provide accountability to the contribution, and integrity to all parts of the work. That is the authorship policies which normally publishers follow. Okay, and there are again those two things, that is ghost authorship and gift authorship. That is many a times in the ghost authorship means not giving authorship to the author who have made a significant contribution, leaving out an author who has to be included. So that becomes ghost author. One should avoid a researcher. And then gift authorship, sometimes there are certain compulsions, many a times, like you are in this research agency, and many a time there is head of the research institution. His names are maybe by tradition or by some other, name of the research head or research institute head is included. So that is, you can say, gift. Although the persons directly or indirectly, there are not much contribution of the head of the institute or director of the institute in that paper, but by custom it is given. So that is called gift authorship, including authors who have not made any contribution to the research and manuscript, but they are given authorship. Okay, research misconduct means submission of one's manuscript to more than one journal, duplicate submission and duplicate publication. There are strict actions are taken if it is found. Some people, even their jobs are terminated, etc. On account of this, there are reports revealing important research details to media before publication of an accepted manuscript. That also is considered as a publication misconduct. Then plagiarism and conflict of interest, etc. Okay, so these were there. Finally, I think, is there some more time, or should I stop here? If I can, Dr. Khandelwal.
Yes, sir.
No, sir,
Hello.
I
continue,
think
sir.
we can perhaps
It's okay.
ask the questions part, sir. So maybe
Can
we can
I,
involve the participants
particularly
now.
if some professors or
Very
some
valuable,
teachers
sir.
are there,
So I think they will take some time to
the
absorb also.
research guide. That is again very important part. I will take just 2-3 minutes more. Okay.
Okay, sir.
That is a research guide. That is a guide as supervisor. It's very important, particularly for students. It is important. That is a guide or supervisor plays a very important role in the identification of the topic of the research, formulation of the problem in a manner that is appropriate for the degree. It provides guidance about nature of research and standards expected, planning research, and so and helping a new scholar to become an independent researcher. It is a significant achievement for someone engaged in higher education. And here, that is again very important. That is, there are persons who will say that as daily basis, weekly basis. Okay, they will tell to the student, you come up with this, you do this, and come report. Then after the 1 week, the student comes. That is, in my opinion, not a good. That is what I do normally as my PhD student. In the initial 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, I will give the time. I will ask. Once the topic, I discuss even topic with my students. Okay, I have some topic in my own mind, so I tell that this is the topic I would like you to work, or if you have any other idea, you shall tell. So we discuss it, and then once the topic is finalized, I ask that person, okay, you take 1 month or 1 week, 10 days, 20 days, whatever. You thorough conduct research and come with a presentation, find out gap, and etc. And then 2-3 months, devote time. We will present. We will discuss almost weekly meeting and all, and maybe finally he comes with the idea, makes a presentation with whole of my research group, and then once we found, we are convinced that yes, now he has got, because that is the main role of a research guide. That is, the scholar must be in a position to know that yes, what is his or her goal, what he or she is do, and then once if it is you have done, then it becomes, because nowadays the students are much smart, and they manage that is. Then plan comes a plan and execute, because all those things have been divided. Define the objective, methodology is defined, and then they have presented it, and then they conduct experiment, and finally again the supervisor role comes in the end. Okay, So guide is expected as usually provide a framework within which academic work can take place, setting regular schedule of meetings with the student, reaching agreement with the student on indicators of progress being made and dates of submission for the progress report, providing regular and prompt feedback on the progress of the student. And good feedback that in fact in this way we will try to make it is not the research is not a spoon feeding job in my opinion. It should not be students should not be spoon fed. They should be give that there should their personality so that after doing this research, particularly masters or PhD research, then they should be developed in such a way that when they go in the field, they become a confident a person that is any problem come before them, they can plan, they can execute, they can write, and that development must be ensured by the guide in his or her student. Okay, so obviously there is a responsibility of a research guide becomes that they expected to provide academic guidance, encouraging student in his or academic work, ensuring the appropriate timetable for completion of the work, ensuring that the student is given timely advice, helping the student to make contact with other scholars in the field. In fact, daily in my laboratory, I normally, when students are there, that almost in every week or alternate week, we meet together all the students and where individual student they work, they talk with each other, they present and discuss because that is very important. Nowadays, you cannot work, you do research in isolation. Then when you discuss with the people, when you discuss with your friends, many times idea which might not have come in your mind, it is given by, and they do the good work come out of this. So that is okay, and very important that is student supervisor relationship. Okay, that is very vital to all research. That is respect, trust, confidence, and fairness are essential element. That is mutual respect, mutual trust is very important. Mutual confidence. The teacher must have confidence in his student, or her student, and the student must have confidence. That is most interpersonal problems between the students and supervisor can be avoided. Students rely on contact with their supervisors for guidance and intellectual input to their research. And that becomes that is the duty of the supervisor to do that. And meeting and regular contact may take place face to face or online. Okay. Then I think this is the finally research funding. There are many agencies, any funding for the research. It may be corporates and industrial, government, or even small amount scientific fundings are provided by the non-government. Most of the developed countries, they have about 1.5 to 3% of their GDP in the research funding. So they should help the effort to become sustainable, focused, productive, etc. Okay, like international organization, FAO, WHO, UNDP, USDA, UNICEF, European Union, and many more. They are all these are the funding agencies. They provide research in different fields, like in the US, National Health Institute, National Science Foundation in the Canada Foundation for Innovation, Genome Canada, Natural Science and Engineering Research Council, Network for Center for Excellence. In UK, like Art and Humanities Research Councils, Natural Environment Research Councils, Biotechnology and Biological Sciences Research Council, Economics and Social Research and Medical Research Councils, Science and Technology Facilities, then Ireland, Switzerland. So you can search now. These data are available in the net. You can search, and there are many. Means, let me tell you, if you have a worthy proposal, now these days there is no dearth of funding. But only thing you should have a good, nicely written, and find out the specific that the interest of the funding agency, because the funding agency will not give you a fund just for blah blah. So it's the proposal should be the in the interest of the funding agency. Similarly, national institutions, India, that AICT, CSIR, DRDO, DAE, AYUS, DBT, Ministry of Food Processing, MFPI, DST, CSIR, DIR. There are various institutes and many more. Ministry of New Renewable Energy, University Grant Commissions, all these agencies, they give the project. And it is my own experience. I am telling you, by being the member of the task force and research project granting committee of most of the ministries and department of the government of India. I have worked on them for a few years, and this is my personal experience that nowadays there are a lot of money for R&D. So if you are coming with a good proposal, definitely there will be no dearth of fund. So with this, sorry, I come to the end of my presentation. What happened? Yes, last slide. This. Thank you very much for your presence hearing. Now, the time permit, if you have some few questions, I think it has become a little lengthy presentation.
Very
Okay,
nice, sir.
over
Quite
to you.
exhaustive and quite good inputs. I think you have covered everything from research till funding, including the
So,
research
should
paper,
I
our main topic.
unshare
Great.
my talk? Yes.
So, dear participants, kindly, you are most welcome to come forward and ask some question. Though there is one question already at the mid of the session by Priyanka Pandopadhyay. Priyanka, would you like to ask now, or should I read on your behalf? Please let me know. Priyanka. Priyanka, you are there. I can see you. So if you want, you can please ask. Otherwise, sir, her question was resting on how exactly can you share something on the blueprint and hypothesis
Hello,
testing of
hello.
research?
Is there any
Sir, can you hear me?
question?
So question is same
Yes,
on
ma'am.
the. Go ahead,
You
Priyanka.
you can take one or two questions if there is any. Otherwise,
Absolutely, we have, sir. Priyanka is asking.
Yes, sir. Can you please tell something validity and reliability of research? The difference
some
between reliability
I'm
and
not
validity.
getting good sound. What is
Sir,
there?
please
Yes.
come to the chat box. Otherwise, she has put question at 5:40. Please, just you will get the question. The blueprint is all about same research design only, Priyanka. I'm sure sir will like to explain
Priyanka, she
more.
has written, I think, please say some point of testing the research
Huh.
and validity and reliability of research. I think that's what she wants.
Absolutely.
Priyanka
Yes, sir.
Bandyopadhyay? Yes, yes, yes. I think that is very, very important. That is the hypothesis testing. As I told you in my presentation, that is the first part is that you set your hypothesis. Suppose you have and then that you have set a target that you have to go to Delhi. Now, that is you have to find out that is how to go to Delhi. There are different ways. You can go by train, you can go by air, you can go by road, by bus, by motorbike, by your own car. I'm talking about from Calcutta to Delhi. So now depends. Then the next question is depending upon, because all this there may be time involvement, money involvement. So what is your pocket? How does your pocket supports, and accordingly you decide that. So same thing is done here in the research. That is, you set a hypothesis, and then and in fact that is I tell you, a good research result is previously known. We know that as we are conducting, our main aim is to find this. We want to develop this product with this characteristic. Okay. So now that is decided. That is your hypothesis. Now the question comes: how suppose ready to eat food you are getting and a high protein food. Okay. So high protein food, in that protein, what are the various sources from which you can get this protein? Okay, what are that you are going for, the pulses or vegetable protein, animal protein, the different options. So what is your options available, and then out of those options you have to select the best possible option, and for that you have to go for design. Sometimes you have to formulate the product. So formulation, for formulation you go for, there are various methods like engineering design, linear programming, etc. I did not go into those scientific details, technical, but that is you have to do as a researchers. So once you have done the hypothesis as an objective, then go for the find, that the methodology, how to conduct experiment, conduct it properly, and then data, once you have got, analyze this data and develop model. Because many a times we conduct an experiment on one or two specific things, but we want to generalize the result. So that is modeling, and you develop model like you are conducting a storage study. You have to find out that is the what will be the actual shelf life at a particular temperature. We conduct a study here under accelerated condition. Worst conditions are sometime environmental conditions, 3-4 temperature. You do conduct the experiment and then get the data, get the graph, and from that graph you interpret, you develop a model, and that model will be, once it is validated, it has been properly sold, then you will be able to know that yes, that is, and using that model you can get the information that is XYZ at any temperature. What will be the shelf life? Okay. So the model development and its prediction of the validation of the model which you ask. Validation means that is whatever model, that is whatever results, outputs have come from your experiment, you conduct experiment on those and then present the and see that whether your experimental results or your that the reports result of your model, whether they are matching or not. If this matches, it's good. That is your, it is validated. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is clear. Thank you so
Very
much,
good.
sir.
If we have more
Good evening,
questions,
sir.
they are welcome.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Please.
Yes.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Tell
sir.
me, please.
Dr. Ajay this side. Yeah. Actually, sir, I'm in a grant in a college.
You please
Yeah.
identify yourself and then also. Okay.
Yeah. Myself is Dr. Ajay Singh. I'm from Mata Gujari College, Fatehgarh Sahib, Punjab. Actually, sir,
Okay.
I'm presenting I mean, the government aided college in Punjab. I tried 2 or 3 times to apply for a project
Your
in the
voice is
previous times.
breaking. I am not able to hear. Please write yes. Good evening. I
I
am
got it.
a grant in Aid College of Punjab and trying to get funds from DST and ICMR about 3 times in recent past. I want your opinion about how worthy it is to get funds in colleges. You see, there is definitely why very in the college. Of course, for any funding agencies, there is no restrictions. I have seen that even government colleges, private colleges, whatever. Only thing that that college should have the credibility. The funding agency, what it looks in you, that is to whom we are giving the fund will be properly utilized for the purpose for which it is being given. And that is where in most of the government agencies, government organizations, government institutions are there. That is the agencies know that yes, it is government funded institutions like IITs, ISCs are any other reputed universities. So the fund will. But in the private organization, sometimes what happens, that is obviously the private institutions, etc. They once you have got the fund, then the fund is diverted and used for some other purposes, and the actual researcher does not get. So their purpose get defeated. So if any college, whether private college and even NGO or any institution, is able to establish its credibility and give that confidence among the sponsors that yes, that NDST, ICMR, DBT, they all give the fund to the private agencies, etc. You get them. So definitely you should go for it. But to get the fund these days, lot of competition is there. As I told you, that your proposal should be sound, it should be in line with what funding agencies mandates are there, and you should, that is the your funding agency should have sufficient confidence on you as well as your institution, that yes, you will be able to deliver the task. Definitely the funding will be given to you. Am I right? I think it answers to your question,
Yeah,
Ajay
sure,
Singh
sir.
ji.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yeah, I got it. Actually, sir, in the
Okay,
previous time,
okay,
2020-21, even I tried to apply under Indo-Uzbekistan project. One of my co-partner is from
okay,
Uzbekistan.
okay,
As per my opinion,
okay, okay.
I means the project was
Yes, yes, I know you. If you want that, sometime you can send your draft to me. I will go
sure,
through
sir.
and give
Thank you,
my
sir.
comments.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, Priyanka ma'am.
question, if anyone, otherwise we will close the session. It has been a long session.
I think if that's what I was going to say, if we have more questions, our participants are most welcome to write to us. I will just write
Priyanka
the
Bandyopadhyay, what she says, I have completed my graduation and master degree from Government College in Food Technology, recently qualified UGC NET PhD only section. I want to pursue my further career in research. Please guide me. Okay, Priyanka, you write me an email. Definitely, I will help you. Okay. Yes, you can write the email on this. Yeah, we'll provide.
And I'm
Dr.
glad
Khandelwal,
many YouTube members are
yes.
subscribing. You're most welcome. Our YouTube channel on H&M Food Pro Academy. Please subscribe. And in fact, very shortly, an extension of our work is coming also in this NPTEL IT Madras platform, wherein we are, Mr. Sir and myself are hosting design thinking and food packaging innovations. So you're most welcome to the ease. I'm just giving the link from NPTEL website here in the chat box so that some of us can use this. Thanks a lot for joining today. And we wish such programs are useful. Mr. Sir's rich experience is in front. Really, it's worthy to harness the huge potential and the huge excellence which Sir already carries. So, with this, I think, Sir, would you like to say any final words before we call off this particular webinar? Sir, I think we are. Sir, are you able to hear us? Mr. Sir, are you able to hear us?
Okay, Dr. Khandelwal.
Yeah, sir, can you hear us? I think.
Somehow I'm not getting. There is not good, so I'm
Yes.
not getting voice. But anyway,
Yeah.
now can we close the session now?
Yeah, exactly,
If
sir.
everything is okay, if there are no comments,
Yes.
so thank you all.
Sure.
Please, all the participants, those who are there, thank you, Dr. Khandelwal and everybody, and wish you good luck in your future endeavors.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for this illustrious webinar.
Thank you. Bye
Wonderful.
bye.
Great inputs. Thank you so much, sir. Very enriching.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to all the participants who could make it. Our YouTube audience, they are most welcome to watch it after the show, which is wrapping up now. And there also you can put in the chat box the questions on research, starting from project to publication to funding. Thank you so much. Bye.